Taja Sevelle, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Obviously I'm from Minneapolis, so it's wonderful to be here and just be on the Purple Current is fabulous.
Oh.
Fabulous. Yeah, I know how much it meant to Prince, and so I'm very honored to be here and excited.
I'm excited too. We're going to get really into your whole history with Prince and with your records on the Purple Hour on Purple Current. But I just wanted to start, if you could share for us the story of how did you enter the orbit of Prince and end up working on his record label?
Well, in the same week that he offered me my first record deal, I was also accepted into the Berklee College of Music. So I had been working in different bands around the city and working at KMOJ Radio as a DJ, and I also did community calendar. And one day the folks from Purple Rain, when they were filming, called me up and said, "Hey, will you put this on, casting call out on community calendar?" Oh. And I said, "Sure." And then, I asked him about it, and I ended up being an extra in the movie. And he had heard my voice. Some of my music we had started playing on KMOJ as well, and I had made a little name for myself around town. I was in 5 different bands, a couple of R&B and 3 jazz bands, and then I had started my own band. So one thing led to another, and he eventually asked me for a demo. And so I got him the demo as quickly as I could, and then he offered me a record deal. And so I have more details about it in my book, but that's sort of those are the cliff notes of our meeting and how I got started.
Great. So you were one of the first artists to really be on Paisley Park Records.
I was. Back in the day when Paisley Park was just just getting started, had just been built, and it was pretty cool to see that and to be a part of that.
Something that really stands out to me when I look back on your career and your relationship with the Paisley Park Records is that you had your own vibe. You had such a distinct sound and look, and you were writing your own songs. And in that way, I feel like you're a little bit set apart from some of the other relationships that Prince had with what we now call his proteges, where he was mostly writing and producing, and then they would kind of come in and replace the vocals, and it was kind of more orchestrated by him.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about kind of the dynamics there?
Yes. Well, it's interesting because he's so brilliant, and he really has his vision. And so once he decides that he wants to do something, he knows exactly how he wants that to look. And so traditionally, he would basically find people that would fill those roles. And when he originally offered me the record deal, he said, I'm thinking of putting another girls band together. He already had Apollonia 6. He already had Vanity 6 and Apollonia. Mm-hmm. But I said to him, I'm sorry, I'm a solo artist. And, he rapidly knew that I wasn't going to do anything other than that. And so he said, okay, that's fine. And then he said, I know that you're going to want to write some of your own music as well. And so I'm going to let you do that on your first CD, and then write some even more on your second CD. And so he gave me an amount of freedom that was untraditional for him at that point in time. And also, I think a little bit uncomfortable for him, but at the same time, he had some good insight to me as an artist and understood that I had done a lot of hard work to develop my sound, and I was still in the process of it, but he recognized that, and I always appreciated that. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about these songs that Prince had written and then gave to you, and then what was the process for you of then taking them and putting them on the record?
Well, he originally gave me 4 songs to listen to and to have. And 2 of the songs I did not connect with as much. And so I said, listen, I'd like, if I could get your attention, and Wouldn't You Love to Love Me? And I'm just not feeling the other 2 songs. And excuse me, originally he said, well, you have to do all 4, otherwise you can't do any. And, we laughed. And I said, hey, the last thing you want is for me to sing a song that I can't feel, because I'm going to look like I can't sing, because I really can only do what I feel. And that's with everything. With urban farming, with the book, with anything I'm doing, any music, I have to feel it. And he understood that. He really understood that, and he really had respect for that.
Well, one thing that's been really cool recently is that one of the songs that he wrote and gave to you, we have now had a chance to hear because it's part of the originals collection.
Yes.
Wouldn't You Love to Love Me? I want to know, how long had it been since you had heard that demo version of his, and what is it like for you to hear it now?
That's a good question. It was really thrilling when I bought a few copies of it's not the originals, it's the originals, and it's 15 original songs that Prince demoed and gave to select artists. For those of you who may not know, and it was just recently released on Tidal and also on Warner Brothers with Paisley Park Estate, curated by Jay-Z and primarily, I think, by Jay-Z and other people too that weighed in. But so when I listened to it, first of all, I listened to the whole thing, and it was thrilling. And to hear the song, the original demo that he gave me again, it was thrilling. I felt very connected to him because the music was on originals is so raw and so him. It just, I can't even, I don't know how well I can describe what it felt like for me, but I do urge people to get it, because to get this CD, it's pretty amazing, and you'll feel very connected to Prince, I think, in a way that maybe other songs you may not feel, because it's that raw beginning.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you and Prince kept in touch over the years, because I actually met you at Paisley Park very recently, back in 2014.
Yes.
And I know that he was very supportive of what you have now pursued as your career, which is urban farming.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what you've been up to, and also how this ties into this book that you've written.
Okay, yeah. Well, Urban Farming is an organization that I started in 2005. I was recording a CD for Sony Records at the time in Detroit, Michigan, or prior to that. And I really became acquainted with all of the unused land in the city of Detroit, and the jobs that had been shipped overseas and the poverty. And so I started urban farming. I put my music career on the back burner and started urban farming with 3 community gardens of free food and a pamphlet and $5,000. And we now have over 65,000 gardens around the world that are all a part of the urban farming global food chain.
Wow.
And Prince was a huge supporter. As soon as he found out about it, he started supporting the cause. And we've had hours and hours of conversations about how to help this world, and they were conversations that were very fun, because we weren't just sitting around talking. We would put ideas right into action, so urban farming was something that was close to him, and through the work of urban farming, boots on the ground in all these different cities and rural areas and suburban areas, especially around the United States, but also my travels with the music industry and being around affluent communities as well, and heavily ensconced in all of these different areas, I started to see a real gap of misunderstandings with people in all these different areas. That I had friends in all these areas, but there were these misunderstandings, and I saw a real need for healing our world from the root and balancing our world. So, this is why I've written the book. It's called From the Root, and it's called From the Root: A Memoir and a Philosophy for Balance in Our World. And it's all about it's a campaign for healing our world from the root and healing our relationships.
Incredible. Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah.
So I know that Prince has also been a huge supporter of what you've now done. You've shifted a little bit away from music and focused on this urban farming initiative, which you write about in your new book, From the Root. So tell me about, I found something that referenced him donating some of the proceeds from the 3121 perfume campaign?
Yes.
Was there a link there with your work?
Yes, absolutely. So he donated to 7 different charities, and urban farming was one of them. Cool. He donated every year once he found out what I was doing. I'll just say Prince knew that I was writing this book. Okay. He was excited about it. I started writing it in 2011, 2012. Oh. Prior, during that time, it was about 400 pages. I had to pare it down a lot. But it's very succinct. I go through 7 fundamental root principles that I see we need to heal and to balance in our communities.
That's great. I have one more question for you, and I've been asking everybody the same question, and you've already touched on it quite a bit today. But what can you tell us about Prince the human being?
You know, I'm very, very honored to speak at the PRN Alumni Foundation events because I get to talk about his philanthropy and his heart. Many people know about how brilliant, obviously, he was as a musician, but the true brilliance to me is his giving heart. And if you ever get a chance to hear me speak about it, come on down and you'll learn so much more about him. But he gave all the time, just all the time. And people just don't know about it all over the world.
Right. Well, thank you so much. You've shared so much with us today, your own intellect and fascinating insights in your book and also your connections with Prince. It's just so wonderful.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you so much for having me and, allowing me to share all of this, and hopefully it connects to the listener. And if so, the book is available on Amazon. It's a self-published book.
Oh,
And if
great.
it strikes a chord, check it out. But I appreciate, you giving me the time to talk about it and to share some of these ideas because I know they're really meaningful for our world right now. So thank you. And also to be able, thank you for keeping Prince's, light alive,
Oh.
on the on Purple Current.